Welcome to our training session on individual program planning process. Training objectives. By the end of this training, participants will be able to understand the purpose of the IPP, learn how the IPP process is designed to support individuals receiving home and community-based services through person-centered care. Plans. Identify core components of the IPP, understand the key areas covered in an IPP, including personal information, assessments, care goals, interventions, and family involvement. Explain the caregiver's role, recognize how caregivers contribute to the development, implementation, and ongoing evaluation of the IPP. Apply best practices for person-centered care, learn strategies for fostering empowerment, respect, and autonomy in caregiving. Navigate legal and ethical considerations, understand confidentiality. Informed consent and advocacy in the IPP process to ensure ethical, legal, and effective care. Understand the steps in the IPP process, gain a clear overview of the IPP's timeline. From initial assessment to ongoing revisions and evaluations. This session will provide you with the tools and knowledge to actively engage in the IPP process, ensuring the best outcomes for the individuals you care for. Introduction to the Individual Program Planning (IPP) process. What is the IPP? The Individual Program Plan (IPP) is a comprehensive, person-centered care plan developed for individuals who receive home and community-based services. It is specifically tailored to meet the individual's needs, preferences, and goals. This process ensures that caregivers are providing appropriate and meaningful support. In Connecticut, the IPP is used primarily for individuals who are eligible for services under the Medicaid waiver programs, for example, for people with intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities, or elderly individuals. The IPP process helps improve quality of life for individuals, enable individuals to live independently or with minimal support, foster family involvement in the care process, ensure that the caregiving services provided are consistent, legal, and aligned with the individual's desires. Core components of the IPP. Personal information and background. This section collects detailed information about the individual to guide the planning process. It includes personal details, name, age, diagnosis, medical history, contact information for family members and other support systems, cultural and religious preferences, understanding how the individual wants their background to inform the care they receive. Living arrangements, if the individual lives alone, with family, or in a group home. Practical tip for caregivers: collecting thorough personal information helps caregivers understand the context of the person's care needs. Be mindful of any family dynamics or preferences that may affect how care is delivered. Assessment of needs and strengths. This step involves evaluating both the strengths and needs of the individual. The goal is to create a balanced care plan that enhances the individual's independence while providing necessary support. Needs assessment typically includes physical needs, health conditions, mobility challenges, dietary restrictions, medication needs, cognitive needs, memory problems, communication difficulties, ability to make decisions, social and emotional needs, desire for social interaction, mental health support, stress management. Functional needs, help with activities of daily living, ADLs, such as bathing, dressing, cooking, and cleaning. Strengths assessment looks at the individual's abilities, interests, and talents. Identifying strengths allows caregivers to support independence and focus on building new skills. Practical tip for caregivers: during the assessment, take time to ask the individual about their preferences. Encourage the individual to share what they feel they are good at, what they enjoy, and how they like to spend their time. Care goals. Care goals are the heart of the IPP. These are the personalized objectives for the individual's care. Goals should be SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Care goals could address a wide range of areas, such as daily living, helping the individual maintain independence in activities like meal preparation or dressing. Health and wellness, setting goals related to mobility, e.g., walking longer distances with assistance, nutrition, or improving sleep habits. Socialization, encouraging participation in community activities or social events to combat isolation. Safety, ensuring that the environment is safe and meets the individual's needs, e.g., modifications to the home to prevent falls. Practical tip for caregivers: work collaboratively with the individual, their family, and the care team to set realistic and measurable goals. Focus on small, attainable milestones that lead to long-term success. Care strategies and interventions. This section outlines the specific actions caregivers will take to help achieve the identified goals. The interventions should be personalized to match the individual's unique needs and preferences. Common care interventions include assistance with ADLs, helping the individual with tasks like dressing, bathing, grooming, and eating. Medication management, assisting with medication reminders or administration. Physical therapy or exercises, helping with prescribed physical activities to maintain mobility or strength. Cognitive exercises, activities that help the individual improve memory or mental clarity. Practical tip for caregivers: the interventions should be adjusted regularly. If a specific strategy is not working, don't hesitate to communicate this to the care team and adjust the plan to better meet the individual's needs. Family and support network involvement. Family members and other support systems, friends, advocacy organizations, etc., should be involved in the IPP process. They bring additional perspectives and can provide support in ways that improve outcomes. Involvement in goal setting: family members can help the individual identify realistic and meaningful goals. Providing support at home: family members may assist with caregiving tasks or help maintain consistency. Communication: regularly share updates with family members and discuss any concerns or progress. Practical tip for caregivers: communicate openly with family members. Make sure they understand their roles in supporting the individual's care plan, and encourage their participation in the goal-setting process. Monitoring and evaluation. The IPP is a living document that should be reviewed and updated regularly. It should reflect any changes in the individual's health, preferences, or life circumstances. Monthly or quarterly check-ins regularly assess the individual's progress towards their goals. Adjustments, if certain strategies aren't working or if goals are reached early. Adjust the plan to reflect new priorities. Practical tip for caregivers: keep a detailed log of the individual's progress. This can include notes on what is going well and where challenges may exist, so that the IPP can be adjusted accordingly. Role of the caregiver in the IPP process. Participation in initial assessment and planning. Caregivers often serve as the eyes and ears of the care team and can provide critical insights into the individual's daily routines, abilities, and preferences. Caregivers should actively participate in the initial planning process by offering observations about the individual's behavior, abilities, and preferences. Ensuring that the individual's wishes are accurately reflected in the plan. Asking questions and advocating for what is best for the individual. Practical tip for caregivers: ask the individual about their goals directly. This can be as simple as, "What would you like to focus on today?" Implementing the IPP. After the IPP is created, caregivers are responsible for carrying out the plan. This involves following care routines and strategies outlined in the IPP. Providing emotional support. Some individuals may need more encouragement or companionship to engage in their care plan. Tracking progress. Document what is working and what isn't. Provide regular feedback to the care team. Practical tip for caregivers. Take notes during each shift about the individual's progress and any challenges that arise. This will help you offer concrete feedback during the review process. Providing feedback and adjustments. Caregivers play a key role in ongoing evaluation. They should monitor whether the individual's goals are being met and whether interventions are effective. If progress is not being made, caregivers should suggest adjustments to the plan. For example, if a mobility goal isn't being met, the caregiver might propose adding additional physical therapy sessions. Encourage the individual to share feedback about their care. They may have preferences that were overlooked during the planning process. Practical tip for caregivers. Keep a journal or log of the individual's progress and any difficulties that arise. This provides important insights for the next review meeting. Best practices for person-centered care. Person-centered care means that the individual's needs, preferences, and values guide the caregiving process. Here are key principles to keep in mind. Active listening and respect. Pay close attention to the individual's verbal and nonverbal cues. Ensure that the individual feels heard and respected. Ask open-ended questions, such as "How do you feel today?" or "What would make today better for you?" Empowerment and independence. Encourage individuals to do as much as they can independently, even if they require some support. Help them make decisions about their care whenever possible. Dignity and autonomy. Respect the individual's right to make choices about their daily life, even if those choices seem small or trivial. The goal is to foster autonomy. Practical tip for caregivers. When possible, ask the individual to make choices about their routine. For example, "Would you like to take a walk in the morning or afternoon?" Empowering them in small ways can lead to a greater sense of control. Legal and ethical considerations. Confidentiality. Respect the privacy of the individual and protect all personal health information. Adhere to HIPAA regulations, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, when handling medical or personal information. Informed consent. Ensure that the individual understands their care plan and consents to the interventions outlined. Consent should be an ongoing process, not a one-time event. Advocacy. Caregivers should advocate for the individual's rights, needs, and preferences, especially if they feel the care plan isn't meeting their needs or the individual is being underserved. Practical tip for caregivers. Be proactive in ensuring the individual's needs are met. If something is not working in the care plan, speak up and suggest alternatives to the care team. Steps in the IPP process. Initial assessment and goal setting timeline. This is usually done when the individual first starts receiving services. The assessment helps the team understand the person's needs and preferences. Plan development. Collaborative process. Family members, caregivers, and healthcare professionals work together to create a comprehensive care plan. Plan implementation. Action step. Caregivers follow the specific interventions and strategies outlined in the plan. Ongoing review and evaluation. Regular meetings. The IPP is reviewed periodically, e.g., every 6 months or as needed, to evaluate progress and make adjustments. Revisions. Adjustments made if the individual's goals have changed or if progress isn't being made. The plan is updated to reflect new priorities or approaches. Thank you for watching the individual program planning process module. Please answer the questions for this training before moving on to the next training module.